All right, here we are looking at Blue and Kaladesh Remastered, starting off with Select for Inspection. It's a single blue for an instant. Return target tapped creature to its owner's hand. Scry 1.
Yeah, so basically like purely a defensive unsummon. This has a lot of a lot of things that make unsummons good. This doesn't have, right? Like you can't save your own creature most of the time from a removal spell. Sometimes you can, but not often. You can't get something out of the way, like a critical blocker. But that being said, this is a really nice defensive speed tempo tool, right? Like,
And I think you'll get into racing situations as well.
right, yeah, exactly. And it's really good, especially if your opponent has vehicles. Like, them tapping their creature, attacking with their vehicle, you bounce the vehicle. Like, that's a pretty big tempo swing, right? I remember this being like a almost
Especially they like cast a creature that turn, so then they can't recast the
right.
vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's huge, right? I remember this being almost like a necessary evil more than a good card, right? Just because like you had to like you needed something to survive the early game against like the vehicles and the thriving rhinos of the world. Um, so this is like a fine card. You're gonna play a copy in your blue deck. It's like a C minus.
Yeah, I'm fine with C minus, I think.
Yeah.
All right, next.
All right. Next up we have Thriving Turtle. So Thriving Turtle is a 1-mana 0/3 turtle. When Thriving Turtle enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy. Whenever Thriving Turtle attacks, you may pay 2 energy. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on Thriving Turtle.
Yeah, those swole 4/7 turtles. I remember those.
Yeah. So this is kind of a weird card, right? Like, it's like a weird defensive speed card that you'd sometimes like play on turn 1 attack just to make a 1/4, and it kind of just sat around and blocked, which was fine. And then later it like adds some energy. Overall, this is not a great card, right?
No,
It's
I think it's
very
a secret blue green gold card, and even there, it's not great.
yeah, exactly. So it's like kind of like a synergy D plus basically, right?
Yeah, high praise here.
We're gonna talk about I think as we get into these blue commons, we saw very synergistic white commons just with the go wide stuff, and there's some synergy in blue too with the energy stuff. But I think that the energy synergies are just like generally more finicky, require higher rarity cards, and are just a little bit weaker, I think, than what we've seen.
That's okay. Blue's been great in a lot of sets, so
Yeah.
it can be not great.
And to be fair, our next one here is pretty good.
I think this is the best blue common, personally. This is
Yeah.
Etherswooper, 1 and a blue for a 1/2 flyer. When it ETBs, you get 2 energy. When it attacks, you can pay 2 energy. If you do, you make a 1/1 servo.
Yeah, so this is nice. This just like starts, pushing out a lot of 1/1s, which matters for, all your improvised stuff or just blocking, right? This is one of the better things to put energy into. A lot of these like Aether creatures, they don't attack particularly well, and so you can't get the trigger all that well. But this one can, right? Pokes in for damage. So this one's pretty good. I agree that it's probably the best blue common, at least as far as I remember. Which, kind of sad because this is like a fantastic card. It's still only like a C plus, right? It's fine. It's good, but it's not premium by any means. No. You're not. There's gonna be one of those situations where you're not gonna be first picking a blue common very often in this set. Right, you're gonna be pretty sad if you have to do that. So I'm gonna give this one a C plus. It's a nice little engine, nice little synergy piece, but nothing too special. All right, next up we have Ether Theorist. So this is 1 and a blue for a 1/3 Vidalcan Rogue. Whenever Ether Theorist enters the battlefield, you get 3 energy, and you can tap it and pay an energy to scry 1.
Yeah, I remember this card being fine. Like in blue green energy decks, I think this is a fine 2-drop.
Yeah, I remember this card being fun as well. One of the nice things is about the blue cards is they are very energy based, and again, you can like mix and match where you're putting your energy. And so if you need to dig for action, this is nice. If you have action cards on the battlefield, you can.
I think you can use those. 3 toughness is also surprisingly relevant. Like in this format where creatures are generally small, I think there are a lot of obviously a lot of 1/1s, but I think 2/1s as well.
I do kind of remember this like it has that 1/3 problem kind of where it blocks, but it doesn't threaten a block all that often. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't like threaten to eat the creature all that often. There's not a lot of like, although again, I said this before, there are more X ones, so maybe yeah. So I think this is a solid C.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm down for that for sure. Ice Over, the first of Blues, clunky enchantment removal. 1 and a blue for an aura. Enchant artifact or creature. Enchanted permanent doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. So it doesn't tap the thing, but it can target a vehicle.
I am out on this card.
Yeah.
This card, has all the problems we've talked about with Revoke privileges while being worse.
Because it doesn't remove a blocker.
It doesn't remove a blocker. You need to take a hit off the creature a lot of the time before it gets tapped down, right? And like this card, just aside from like a theory perspective of why it's bad, I do remember this card going just straight dead last a lot of the time. Maybe not dead last, but close to last, right? This ended up not being good. It's just like way too clunky. And it's you think it wouldn't be that bad because it's 2 mana, but it just ends up not being good, right?
Yeah.
This is a D.
Yep.
You shouldn't put this card in your deck very often.
How about Quench, Revolutionary Rebuff, 1 and a blue instant, counter target non-artifact spell unless its controller pays 2.
Yeah, another one you shouldn't really be putting in your deck very often, if at all. Like, these cards are reasonable. Like, we have Anti-Cognition in Zendikar, and that plays like an okay card you can put in your deck if you have cards that are leaving up, you have spells that want you to leave up your mana, like instant speed, draw spells or whatever. There's not a lot of that in this set. So like leaving up mana, even if it's just 2, is kind of costly. And the thing is, like, you want to leave this up early because it's bad late. But then sometimes they just play an artifact and you can't counter that. Like a lot of times with these cards, you snap off their 2-drop, but this doesn't even always trade with their 2-drop. This is not a good card.
No.
I'm going to give this an F, right? Like
Ooh.
B- maybe, but F
I'm
to
down with
put
F.
put a little stamp on it.
I remember this card being okay.
Yeah, this one was pretty good. So this is Ether Trade Winds. This is 2 and a blue for an instant. Return target permanent you control and target permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. So it's like, run away together, but hits your like puzzle knots and stuff too.
Mm-hmm. 1 mana more expensive is more expensive.
Yes.
I don't want to like load up on this effect, but I think I'm happily playing the first one at like a C.
Right, the first one exactly. And the second one's like but the first one's pretty good. C for that card.
Hinterland Drake is 2 and a blue for a 2/3 flyer, and it can't block artifact creatures.
Yeah. So this one I remember being quite good actually. This is there's like Cloud Elemental, which is similar to this card where it can't block flying creature, or sorry, can only block flying creatures, and this is I think substantially better. Again, it's an artifact set, but it's not like artifacts are like 90% of what your opponent's playing. They're going to be like 30% of your opponent's creatures, if that, right? So this is just like a decent blocker, blocks a lot of the, cheap creatures, and, pecks in the air. So again, not exciting, probably like C- C territory, but you're fine having this card in your deck.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think, sorry, wait, say your grade again?
I'd give it a C- probably.
C-?
Low synergy, I think. Maybe C, but
yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna give it C-. Also, just quickly, does Ether Trade Winds hit?
It does.
Land?
I just checked it. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Trade Winds does hit lands. All right, another conditional counterspell here. Metallic Rebuke, 2 and a blue instant, improvise, and counter target spell unless its controller pays 3.
This one's a little better than Revolutionary Rebuff, just because if you cast like a 1 mana artifact or 2 mana artifact. It makes maybe even 2 artifacts, like a servo, and leaves behind an artifact like the puzzle knot. This becomes 1 mana, and it's fine, right? Like this is a card you can play a copy of and not be too upset about, but you're not gonna be really looking to put this card in your deck very often. It's like a C- D+ level card.
Yeah, I think C- probably. I think it does play well with the swooper.
Yeah, that's true.
Pumping out the servos, so
this is going to be 2 mana a lot of the time, right? And just like Mana Leak.
Mana Leak is pretty good.
Yeah, the downside is you can't cast it on 2, which is what Mana Leak does best, of course, but sure. It's still decent.
Yeah. Now we get to hop on the train of all of Blue's 4-drops.
Yeah, so...
but this is the best of the bunch. Leaving the Dust is up first. 3 and a blue instant. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Draw a card.
This is a lot worse than you probably think it is, though. If you're looking at this card and you're thinking...
it's Into the Royal. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. And it's like... I think if you think about the amount of times you cast Into the Royal on 4 mana, like, you're thinking, well, I never cast it on 2, right? I think even myself, I'm thinking that. Like, when I looked at this card, again, after a few years of not seeing it, I'm like, this is so close to Into the Royal, but it plays so much worse. Like, it's so strange that it plays a lot worse, but it does, right? Like, just not having the option to cast it for 2 mana actually matters a lot.
Yeah.
Right. It's still decent. It's still like a C. But I think that it's, temper your expectations on this card a little bit, right? You're going to want a copy or two. I actually, the thing is, I remember not picking this card highly at all, though, is the thing. Right?
Part of this problem is that if you want something to do with a 4 mana in blue, you have so many options.
Right. Yeah.
And some may be C minuses, some may be C's, but it just doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah, really, really awkward.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it a C. But...
I'll go with C for sure.
Next up here we have Malfunction. So this is 3 in blue for an aura. It's enchants an artifact or a creature. When Malfunction enters the battlefield, tap enchanted permanent. Enchanted permanent doesn't untap during its controller's untap step.
Do we have to keep talking about this cards?
No, it's just basically worse revoke privileges, right?
Yeah, and mana more expensive.
And it's it's almost more necessary evil in the blue decks because the white decks can get by with just attacking. The blue decks kind of can't a lot of the time. They kind of have to play a slower game, so you just need this really clunky effect. It almost gets a boost because the color needs it, right? The white doesn't need the revoke privileges. The blue kind of needs a way to interact profitably. So I can
give the first one here a C.
Yeah, I think the first one is a C. It's still nothing I'm excited about. It is, if we're looking at the removal spells as how good is this card in a vacuum, aside from it just being oh look, it's a removal spell, it's good. I don't think that's the way you should be approaching this card. Really look at it in context, and in context it's a C. Second one's going to be a C minus or something.
Yeah. Nimble Innovator is 3 in a blue for a 2/2 when it enters the battlefield. Draw a card.
Yeah, so it's a string of cards that got an upgrade in the past few years, right? This gets an extra point of toughness.
Yeah.
Right. This is worse. The extra point of power, not toughness. The extra point of power that Draga Visionary has is really important, right?
And Draga Visionary isn't even that good.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine, but it's not a giant pull. This card is very medium, right? Do not be excited to play this card. I remember not wanting this card in my deck, actually, right? I'm gonna give this one a D.
I think D.
Yeah, it looks fine, but
nobody's got time for this in Best of
One.
One.
And that's the thing, right? I think one of the things is stats mattered a lot in this format, especially because you want to tussle with vehicles, right?
Yeah,
and so this is way too slow, right? Way too small.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this. All right. You know what they say? When the moon hits your eye, big pizza pie.
What?
Amore.
Oh, God.
Shipwrecked
Oh,
Moray.
no.
3 in a blue for an 05. When Shipwrecked Moray enters the battlefield, you get 4 energy. That's a lot of energy. You pay an energy. Shipwrecked Moray gets +2, -2 until end of turn.
I mean, this is the threat of activation here existing for free in terms of mana. It's pretty darn good.
Yeah, again, this is another card that I just remember not playing ever and not wanting to play. Might get a little better here, but
I think it's still a C minus. It's not good.
No, C minus.
Ugh.
Could be a B. Honestly, could be a D plus.
You want a D plus?
Look at the glut of 4s. You're just happy playing the other 4s, right? This is not a card you're looking to play. Maybe if you're really desperate for energy cards, but this is not a card.
The 7-drop is my 4-drop. I'll tell you.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's the 4-drop of choice.
Last 4-drop here, Weld Fast Wingsmith.
This is actually a problem. Sorry to interrupt, but this is actually a big problem for blue. There's so many 4s, right?
And 5 of the 16 commons are 4-drops, and they're all bad.
Yeah, that's really bad. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Weld Fast Wingsmith is 3 in a blue for a 3/3. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, gains flying until end of turn. Where was it? Theros had this, but Theros had this exactly, but for enchantments.
Yeah. And this card is not good.
And
this card is just Windrakes have kind of been outcast. Outstatted over the years. Just Phantom Monsters are also kind of lost their luster, and this is a conditional Phantom Monster, right? Yeah. This is another D plus level card.
Yeah. So
not exciting at all.
Big problem for blue.
Right. Resurrect Ambition. Not Not a bad one. This one is actually like a good role player in your slower decks, right? So this is 3 blue blue for a sorcery, draw 3 cards. If you control no artifacts to start a card.
Yeah, seems fine to me.
Yeah, this is your way to gain like large amounts of card advantage once you've stabilized, once you've got your like, your engine's kind of going. This is the card that kind of like shuts the door on your opponent. That's kind of maybe trying to claw back. But again, you just don't want too many of these. Like you'll play one of them. I think the format is going to be like fairly aggressive, fairly fast. So you don't have time for a lot of these cards.
Blue just doesn't do anything very well. But I don't think blue like is defensive very well. So it's like
you have to have pretty.
It's hard to imagine this. You being like, I can take turn 5 off to do this.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give it a C just because I think again it's an important piece of the puzzle for the blue decks, but you don't want too many of them. Like you want like 1, maybe 2, and even then, it's like
I think blue is the worst color, and I think it relies the most on artifact support.
Yes, I agree with that.
But
a good one.
This is a good one here. Gearseeker Serpent. This is in my mind. This is what blue is trying to do. 5 blue for a 5/6. It costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control. You can pay 6 mana to have it become unblockable until end of turn.
Yeah, this is your like control finisher / brick wall of choice. And this card's great, right? This card is going to be 4 mana sometimes, but 5 mana most often in your blue decks, right?
Yeah, I think the goal is swooper on 2, something that makes 2 artifacts on 3, this on 4.
Yes. Yeah. That's ideal.
That's the idea. That's what I think. When I look at blue and I'm trying to be like, what is the pocket of synergy? What's the thing that this color does on its own? I think that's the thing it does.
Yes. This is what you're building towards. This is the second best blue common.
Yes.
This would definitely be the best blue common if you could play multiples of them, but you can only play like 2, sometimes 3 if the rest of your deck is really, really cheap, right?
Well, what's cool is that I think it's a build around at common.
Right, yeah, that makes sense.
Like I do think you can build a deck with 2 or 3 of these, and then you're just like snapping up all the cheap implements and puzzle knots and prophetic prisms, whatever.
Yep. Yeah, totally agree with that. This is a good card though. This is
like C+.
It's weird because like we gave Super a C+, and I agree with that, and we called that the best common. I kind of think this is weird because I kind of want to give this a B- in level of importance, but like you just can't take too many of them, So I agree with the C+, but just noting that it is better than that because you definitely want like 2 of these in your deck, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could go because it's not the problem is like I would be like, I can give it a build around B- or B or whatever, but
yeah,
it's I don't feel like it needs that build around caveat because it like what else is blue doing?
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Yeah. All right. First uncommon. What do we got?
Yeah, we got Ceremonious Rejection. So it's a single blue mana counter target colorless spell. Similar to Fragmentize, and like it's kind of conditional and it's nice. You're gonna snipe something.
Ben's gonna get got by this a lot.
Yeah, Ben's gonna get got by this a lot for sure. I think like 30, maybe 20% of your opponent's cards are gonna be colorless. So this is not a great card. Like this was a card you never main decked, right? You could main deck as like a playable if you needed to, but you never wanted to.
I'm going. Right? I'm giving this an F personally.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a D just because like I think just the 1 mana, like you're gonna get something in 1 mana is you're gonna get like if you're not trading like for a great card, you're gonna be trading up on mana, which is nice. So I think I'm gonna give it a D, right? Just like a fine 23rd playable.
Okay. Minister of Inquiries is next. Single blue for a 1/2 Vidalcan Advisor. Enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy, and you can tap, pay an energy, target player mills 3 cards.
Yeah, so this was another one of like the energy payoffs, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a nice little engine, nice little win condition. This mills quickly, right? It's Ruin Crab.
Mill 3 is big. Yeah. Fans of Ruin Crab unite.
Right, it's very similar to Ruin Crab actually.
This is good.
Yeah, this was a good card. It wasn't like a really like Ruin Crab just takes no work for it to be good, right? Mm-hmm. Just put lands in your deck. This takes some work, but in those energy decks, it reaches Ruin Crab levels. So like you're not taking it as highly as Ruin Crab, but if you are leaning towards energy, like you should be taking this card highly as a good way to close out the game.
Yeah, I think it's. I hesitate to call it a build around, but it is a synergy card for sure.
Yeah,
but I think synergy like B- in my mind.
Yeah, I'd give it that too. And the nice thing is, I was saying, like with what was it, select for inspection, the unsummon, like you
Mhm.
can't save your important creatures. You actually can save this one,
Right? Yeah.
whenever you want to, because you just tap it and then bounce. So that's kind of nice. Yeah, I think I like build around B minus.
Okay.
All right, next up we have Ether Meltdown. So this is 1 and a blue, flash, enchant creature or vehicle. When Meltdown enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy. Enchanted permanent gets -4, -0. I think if this card was at common, blue would be fine. This card's great.
Yeah.
Like I don't think this is too powerful
This
at common.
It's slime bind
Yes, slime bind with energy.
with
Upside.
energy,
Plus,
which makes it feel like it's like a 1.25 for 1 or 1.5 for 1 when you have
yeah,
places to use energy.
card's quite good. This is a high pick for sure. This is a good removal spell. I'm gonna give this a B minus.
I think I'm down for B minus as well. It's like I'm giving slime bind a B minus.
Well, it also just makes it so that like whatever creature you choose like can't crew vehicles. So it's like it's kind of got revoke privileges as kind of things, but it's an instant and you get the energy. So like you get a little bit of a rebate on your maybe not fantastic removal spell.
Yeah, I remember liking this next card, Era of Innovation, 1 blue for an enchantment. When an artifact or artificer enters the battlefield, blue-white artificers, when it enters the battlefield under your control, you can pay 1. If you do, you get 2 energy, and you can pay 6 energy, sack it to draw 3 cards.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave this one. This is an Ethan card if I've ever seen one, because this is
I really hate this connotation.
No. I think this is a good card though. But this is one of the cards I look at. I'm like this is a compliment to you. I think you're much better at your brain wraps its head around these type of cards much easier and quicker than mine does. Like in identifying when they're good, but also in gameplay. I think you're much quicker to understanding these cards, right? So like.
Well, I'll take the compliment then.
Yeah.
Take the compliment.
So where is this card good?
Most at home in blue green, where you not only have have easier ways to make energy, but also the time. I think the best application of this card is the times where you may not want to actually sacrifice it for 6 energy. When you're actually interested in a repeatable way to make energy as well, I think that's where it's going to be best. But also just, I think, as a, maybe it's too slow for best of 1, perhaps. But, I think a blue-white deck can get to 6 energy pretty easily with this. But I think blue-green is the best. Because, again, there you have a mana dork. And so playing off curve isn't as bad if you're trying to, just use this to create energy,
Right. This comboed with a few things, too, right? It's really good with Roller Virtuoso. Yeah, and modules, right? This is part of Blue's Blue is kind of ties. We were talking earlier about how all the little trinkety artifacts kind of put them all together and build this engine. This card tied into that. And yeah, this is really good with Virtuoso. So what else? If you have Virtuoso, that's an Artificer, so you can pay 1. Just 2.
Swooper's pretty sick because the servo triggers this to give you energy. So I don't know. I just look out. I think it's a high pick because there's a lot of little stuff. There's a lot of stuff that makes this slightly better, but the emphasis on there's a lot of stuff, so it's not going to be hard to amp this up. And I think it's important to remember, especially so there are times if you build your deck correctly. So there are times where you play this on turn 2 to get the energy party started, but then there are times if you've built your deck correctly where this is a 2 mana draw 3 in the late game.
Yep.
You just use that energy store when you draw this, and that's a lot. That's a lot of cards for very little mana.
Yeah. So powerful card, has a lot of build around potential, has a decently low ceiling or low floor if you're facing a lot of beatdown decks.
Right. I'm
gonna give this synergy C+, right? Yeah. I think that's fair to say for this card.
I'm gonna go synergy B-. I feel like it's more I'm more excited to jump through some hoops for it. But
yeah. All right. So the next one up is Glintnest Crane. So this is 1 and a blue for a flying 1/3. It says when Glintnest Crane enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library and put those cards in the bottom of your library. Now, it actually says you may reveal an artifact card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest in the bottom in any order. But it feels pretty bad to miss with this card. You have to have 9 natural artifacts. Natural meaning not fabricate creatures because these don't get hit. This doesn't hit those to really be happy with this card, right? Because it does, 4 deep. You can break out the hypergeometric calculator, but to reliably hit something like 9 is about your number.
Well, it's 10, right? Or I guess it's 10, right? Because that's 1 and 4.
Sure, yeah. yeah. I guess that's fair. That's an easy way to do it. Easy maths. But this card is good, right? If you do meet that level, this card is quite good.
Yeah, but I think that's hard to do. I remember like really wanting to for this card to be good, and for it felt more often than not like look at the bottom 3 or bottom 4.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just gonna give it like a C.
A C, yeah, I know. I want this card to be good. But...
I do too. Well, because I feel like I've seen so many constructed cards where it's so sick, or constructed decks where it's so good, and then like I just can't.
But it's fun. I also remember when this card was in standard, just like watching many matches of coverage where even in constructed, it was like look at the top 4, put them on the bottom, right? So, anyways, I like C on this card.
Yeah, I like this. Shielded Ether Thief, 1 and a blue for an 0/4 Vidalcan Rogue with Flash. Whenever it blocks, you get an energy, and you can tap, pay 3 energy, draw a card.
This is a nice one. Yeah. This is a good one. Yeah. So it's both the way to...
uncommons are looking a little bit more like better defensive.
Right. And it is kind of nice. So the way this plays out too... talk about this card quickly. This is one of those cards, like, your opponent can't just keep attacking into it. Like, if you have a bunch of walls, they can just keep attacking with impunity. They can go wide. They can't really do that with this card because you start to build up energy and drawing cards. But on a bigger picture, blue in general, I was thinking, like, say you start with a really good blue bomb or a really good blue uncommon, right? Other people, unlike black in most sets, right, other people aren't going to be pulled in by the commons, right? So you're going to, if you do carve out your lane and you do have a reason to be blue, you're going to get the good uncommons later, likely. Right, so that's something. That's a point towards
the good uncommons or the good commons.
The good uncommon, well, both, right? Both. But we were mentioning there's good uncommons in the set, right? So if you were one of the only people drawn into blue early, you're gonna get the good blue commons late, right? Yes. Or sorry, good blue uncommons late. So that's something to note.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean this card's good though. This is like a C+.
I think it's C+. I agree.
Yeah. All right, next up here we have Skyship Plunderer. So this is 2 and a blue for a 2/1 flying pirate. It says whenever Skyship Plunderer deals combat damage to a player, for each kind of counter on target permanent or player, give that permanent or player another counter of that kind. So basically, when this deals damage, you get to target yourself or a permanent with a counter on it, and it gets, you gain a counter.
You don't almost prefer this to be a 1/2.
Yeah, I think so. This card is worse than it looks. I think this looks like, you look at this base level, just like.
It's good. It looks like a B. Like it looks like
you look at it, it looks very good, right? But the thing is, it gets the blue decks just don't race all that well, right? So it's not like this is like a good tempo card, right? Where you get it down early and start like tempoing them out. It doesn't really do that. So like the body is nice, of course. I'm not knocking it or anything, but like it doesn't get many points in that favor, right? Like things just attack past it a lot of the time, and like the energy production is also good. But it's not. I think it just plays a little bit worse than it looks, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go B- on this.
I would go C+.
I'm not sure if it's pull into blue territory for me yet, but I'm gonna start with saying yes.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are gonna take this card early, but I don't think I'm super excited about it.
Trophy Mage is 2 and a blue for a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an artifact card with CMC 3. No more, no less. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library.
So this gets the mobile garrison. It gets the blue implement. It gets Etherswooper Harvester if you're so lucky.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't get too much though in the set.
It gets the chief. It gets the cost reducer.
Yeah, that is true. It gets those 2 artifact creatures. So
how many do you need before you're happy to play this?
Like 2, right? Like you don't want 1 because you don't want to draw it and then draw this, right?
I don't think that's going to be that hard.
No, I don't either. But again, it's not a high. Like this is a card you're hoping to wheel.
Wheel, really?
Yeah, I think so.
Huh. So you give it like a C?
Yeah, like a C.
I don't know, like 3 mana 2/2 draw a spell?
Sometimes though, like you don't even pick. Like the thing is, you don't pick those cards up all the time, and a lot of them are uncommon. There's like implements the one common one I think that you're happy playing. You're not really happy playing Garrison in your blue deck. So all that one.
Yeah. All right. Maybe
I don't know. It's fine. It's a fine card.
Okay.
All right. Next up we have this is a nice one. Glimmer of Genius. This is 3 and a blue for an instant. Scry 2, draw 2, and then you get 2 energy.
This card's great.
Yeah. Digs are really deep. It's good card advantage. Again, this is kind of a 2-point, almost like a bordering on 3 for 1 because you're scrying and getting that energy, right? Like
Yeah.
it's almost there. This card's very good. This is one of the better blue uncommons. It's kind of tough to. You do want to be able to survive to the point where this is a good card, but when you get to that point, it digs really, really well and does everything you want it to be doing. So I would give this a C+, almost B-.
I was gonna go B.
Okay, yeah, I'm down for B. I'll give it a B-.
All right.
Yeah.
Illusionist's Stratagem is 3 and a blue for an instant. Exile up to 2 target creatures you control, then return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control. Draw a card.
No, this is so finicky. There's no real combos with it. Like your few Revolt Creatures, kind of like that's the purpose of this card. Basically.
Everything costs 4 mana.
Yeah, exactly. How are you ever gonna cast this card? How are you gonna have time?
Yeah, this is like D, this is probably an F, honestly.
You can play it. Like, I don't want to give it an F just because, like, no, you don't. Here's the thing, right?
I think you can't play it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't remember playing this card, and I was gonna say like it's never. And I think this is the argument. I'm falling into the argument that a lot of people make, where it's just like it's never awful, but
it
like
draws a card.
It draws a card. Demand more out of your cards, right? Like you're not excited to play this card, and you're not like there's very niche applications, but I'm on board with giving this like an F or a D-.
Okay.
All right. Next up, we have Shrewd Negotiation. This is 4 and a blue for a sorcery. Exchange control of target artifact you control and target artifact or creature you don't control.
I remember this being good.
Yeah, I remember this one being good too. It's kind of like switcheroo-ish.
It is exactly that, right?
Yeah, but you get the upside of just like swapping it for like a puzzle knot or
right.
a
That's
servo.
the dream. Is like you're swapping prism or puzzle knots or servos or thopters for something big.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm going B on this.
Yeah, it's a little finicky, so I think
there's
I'm
a
gonna
cost to it for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a B-, but it is still quite a good card. All right, it's our last blue uncommon here, I think. We got Windkin Raiders. So this is 4 blue for a 4/3 flyer, improvise flying.
Yeah, this is good. Right?
Yeah, again, this is another card I remember being like not impressed with. Really, it's fine, but it doesn't really play into what blue wants to do. Like blue doesn't really want to like turbo out a mid-sized flyer. Like it's really, I think once we've seen all these blue commons and uncommons, I think really it's just trying to turtle up most of the time. And like, yes,
but it doesn't do that well.
It doesn't do that well, but it's the best thing it does.
I don't agree. I think Etherswooper, Gearseeker Serpent, Windkin Raiders
sure.
definitely
Yeah,
more
true.
what I want
That's
my blue decks to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I just remember not being super impressed with this card.
I don't have a memory of this card, so I'm going to grade it anew as a B-.
That's funny. As I've heard Ethan say, it's a boomer card. Says.
So what grade do you give it here?
I'm gonna give it a C+.
Okay. All right. What's our first rare?
Okay, so first up on the rare docket, we've got Baral, Chief of Compliance. This is 1 of blue for a 1/3. It says instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less, and whenever a spell or ability you control counters a spell, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card.
No. This is a constructed plant.
Yeah, it's still fine though. Like it is a decent 2-drop, just like making your spells cheaper, right? Like that matters. It's like a C though. You're not going to pick this highly. The second line of text is basically irrelevant.
Right.
But it is nice to make your spells cheaper.
Next up is disallow 1 blue for an instant, counter target spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. Cancel it rare.
Yeah. But it stops their vehicles from crewing.
Right, you can counter a crew. I'm gonna go D+.
Yeah, I'm fine with that as well. Next up, it's my trademark card. It's Word Invention.
That's right.
X blue 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 instant improvise. Search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost X or less, and put it onto the battlefield and shuffle your library.
No, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean this is not a high pick. You can play it. This was a fine card, but it's like a D plus C minus card.
Yeah, I think of that. I don't know.
Yeah, there's nothing so good that you want to like ward out. You know, you're not.
I mean, you still have Sky Sovereign. Sure, you play this.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Next up is Padine Console of Innovation. 3 in a blue, 1/4. Artifacts you control have hexproof. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control the artifact with the highest CMC or tied for highest CMC, draw a card. This is a nice reason to turtle up.
Yeah, this is a good one. This is a really good one. It's again, it kind of falls in the same territory of a lot of like the kind of build around cards in this format that we've seen, where it's like, and it's not even that much of a build around because you're just gonna have artifacts in your blue decks, but like you're gonna edge towards putting more artifacts.
You want to take like a one of like the 4/5 for 5.
Yeah, exactly. This card is good though. This card is good. It's not like a bomb by any means, but it's like a solid like C+ level card.
Yeah, I'd say even build around B-, but
yeah, sure. I can get that. Oof, I always wanted to make this card work, but it's so hard to make work. No. So it's 3 in a blue for an instant. Return any number of target non-land, non-token permanents you control to their owner's hand. Draw a card for each card you returned to your hand this way.
F.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's real sick against Fumigate, but yeah, no other applications really.
Yeah, wow. These I was thinking that blue red looked like one of the best decks just because the 2 gold uncommons are so good. Blue, I kind of just want to like soft avoid blue.
Yeah, I like I said, like I mentioned previously, I think blue red was not good in Kaladesh. It got a little bit better in Aether Revolt, but it was just like not really a deck in Kaladesh, and I don't know, like. But here's the thing, like, I don't know if you remember this. How good was blue in Aether Revolt? I don't think that good.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways,
yeah.
These next 3 rares or 4 rares actually are pretty good though. So we'll
that's
kick
true.
things off.
So Brawls Expertise to start things off. 3 blue for a sorcery. Return up to 3 target artifacts and/or creatures to their owner's hand, and then you can cast a spell with CMC 4 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost.
Oof, this is a good one. Yeah, this is a huge tempo swing. So, anybody who's playing with Inscription of Insight recently from Zendikar knows that, like, just the 4 mana bounce 2 mode of that card is actually just, like, really good sometimes. You go, your opponent goes 2-drop, 3-drop, you go 2-drop, 3-drop, and then play Inscription. Like, you set them back so far.
Yeah.
That's very good. This gets 3, which is 1 more than 2, and you can also cast another spell on that turn. This is such a tempo blowout. And you can even, like, bounce one of your, value-y artifacts like your Prophetic Prism to replay that, right? You can even replay it off of this, right? Like bounce, replay my Prism. Or something like that, or bounce a Revolt creature you have and replay that and trigger it. Like this has a lot. Like this card is really backbreaking on curve, really good in the mid part of the game, and this card is like I give it an A-.
A-, I think. Yeah.
All right, next up here we have Confiscation Coup. So this is 2 blue for a sorcery.
3.
Choose target artifact or creature. You get 4 energy. Then you may pay an amount of energy equal to that permanent's converted mana cost. If you do, gain control of it.
It's 3 blue. It's 5 mana.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, 3 blue. 5 mana in total.
But still very good.
Yeah, fantastic card. It's mind control that they can't like disrupt with a. I mean, they can bounce it still, but they can't like disenchant the mind control or whatever.
Yeah.
It always steals a 4 CMC card, and then likely will be able to steal more expensive things too. This is probably just another. This is an A.
Yeah.
Great card.
Control magic is good. Next up is Metallurgic Summonings. This card is gas. Okay, so this is 3 blue for an enchantment. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you create an XX colorless construct artifact creature token, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. Shark Typhoon, anyone?
Yeah.
And then you can pay 3 blue to exile Metallurgic Summoning, to return all instant and sorcery cards from your graveyard to your hand. Activate this ability only if you control 6 or more artifacts.
Talk about a build around.
Oof. Yeah, this is a reason to draft spells.
Right. Which There's just not that many good spells, though. It's tricky, right? It's like a lot of them are artifacts. A lot of that real estate.
You get removal in black or red.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you pair. That's what pairs best with this. You're not playing this in blue green or blue white.
Yeah, this card was good. This card like was a build around, but was a really good build around, right?
Yeah, it looks clunky, but like, yeah, like I said, removal, leave in the dust. Like bounce a thing, draw a card, make a 4/4 at instant speed or whatever. That's the other thing is like you take a turn off to do this, but then the turn after and you pass, your opponent just has to go like, what nonsense am I walking into here?
Yeah, they just have to go like, well, I'm just going to be attacking all because there's no way I can beat whatever they have, right? A good builder, like it's definitely you can't just throw this in any blue deck is the thing. Like in some formats you could just because I think you just
because blue red spells are so
yeah, but this format it's more of a build around. So I think probably like a build around B+ I would give this.
I think so. Yeah. And it may be too slow for best of one. That's potentially the case.
Yeah.
But...
All right, and we have Torrential Gear Hulk to finish this off here. Yeah. So this is 4 blue for a 5/6 flash artifact creature. When Torrential Gear Hulk enters the battlefield, you may cast target instant card from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. Only instants, not sorceries. If that spell would be put into your graveyard this turn, exile it. So, yeah, this card is just very, very good. You get the flashback like one of your removal spells and get a giant body. Like even if you don't have instants in your deck, this is just a gigantic creature that comes down, blocks something at instant speed, eats something almost assuredly, right? Yeah. And then the times where you do remove their creature, like imagine your opponent goes in for a big attack and they're like, all right, well, this is pretty much lethal. They have to have like a removal. They have to have 2 things here. Well, this is Torrential Gear Hulk coming down, blocking and removing their creature, and they just get completely blown out. And the times when you're ahead, it does that, but like on the opposite side, where you just get something out of the way, add a creature to your board. Fantastic card. This is another A.
Yep. Agreed. All right, that's blue.
Yeah.